Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about how to store quail eggs. These tiny little eggs are a delicious and nutritious treat, but they can be a bit tricky to keep fresh. In this video, I'm going to share my tips and tricks for storing quail eggs so that they stay fresh and delicious for as long as possible. First, we'll talk about the different ways you can store quail eggs, including in the refrigerator, at room temperature, and even frozen. Then, I'll share some tips on how to tell if your quail eggs are still fresh. Finally, I'll answer some of your most frequently asked questions about storing quail eggs. So, if you're ready to learn how to store quail eggs like a pro, then keep watching. What are the guidelines for storing quail eggs? When it comes to storing your precious quail eggs, there are a few key guidelines to follow to ensure they stay fresh and delicious. Temperature patterns, room temperature. If you plan to eat your quail eggs within a week, you can store them at room temperature. Ideally between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 21 degrees Celsius. Choose a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. Refrigeration. For longer storage, keep your quail eggs in the refrigerator. Place them in their original carton or a breathable container on a shelf, not in the door where the temperature fluctuates. Freezing. While not ideal, you can freeze quail eggs for up to a year. Crack them open, whisk the yolks and whites together, and freeze in an airtight container. Note that frozen eggs will lose some of their texture and are best used in cooked dishes. Days or months. Room temperature, 7 days. Refrigeration, 30 days. Freezing, 12 months. Additional tips: always check the expiration date on the carton before consuming your quail eggs. Wash your hands thoroughly before handling quail eggs. Avoid storing quail eggs near strong-smelling foods, as they can absorb odors. If you're unsure whether a quail egg is fresh, crack it open and check for any discoloration or off smell. By following these simple guidelines, you can ensure your quail eggs stay fresh and flavorful for weeks or even months. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about something a little different: quail eggs. These tiny little eggs are becoming increasingly popular, but there's still a lot of confusion about how to store them properly. So, let's dive in and answer the question: how do you store quail eggs? First things first, let's address the elephant in the room: salmonellosis. Yes, quail eggs can carry salmonella, just like chicken eggs. However, the risk of contracting salmonellosis from quail eggs is actually quite low. In fact, a study by the USDA found that only 0.03% of quail eggs were contaminated with salmonella. That's significantly lower than the rate for chicken eggs, which is around 5%. So, while it's important to be aware of the risk, it's also important not to overreact. As long as you handle and cook quail eggs properly, you're very unlikely to get sick. Now, let's talk about how to store quail eggs. The good news is that they're actually pretty easy to store. Here's what you need to know: store quail eggs in the refrigerator. The ideal temperature for storing quail eggs is between 33 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. This will help to keep them fresh and prevent them from spoiling. Keep quail eggs in their original carton. This will help to protect them from damage and keep them clean. Do not wash quail eggs before storing them. Washing quail eggs can actually increase the risk of contamination. Use quail eggs within 30 days of purchase. After 30 days, the quality of the eggs will start to decline. Here are some additional tips for storing quail eggs. If you're not going to use the quail eggs within a few days, you can freeze them. However, it's important to note that freezing quail eggs will change their texture slightly. If you're using quail eggs in a recipe that calls for raw eggs, be sure to use pasteurized quail eggs. Pasteurized quail eggs have been heat-treated to kill any bacteria that may be present. So, there you have it. That's how to store quail eggs. As long as you follow these simple tips, you can be sure that your quail eggs will stay fresh and delicious. And remember, the risk of contracting salmonellosis from quail eggs is very low, so there's no need to worry. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you think.